Okay, I think we can go ahead and get started. So once again, thank you for joining me to take a look at Polara's new RFP Plus request for proposal management system. I've probably had interaction with most of the people in this room, but for those who aren't familiar, my name is Shay, and I have been with Polara Software now for over 6 years. I currently play the role of account executive. I do have a bachelor's degree in business administration with a focus on marketing, and I've been doing roles related to sales and customer service for over 12 years now. That said, I wanted to jump right in and show you guys what the system looks like, the new system. You might have already noticed, so this is a webinar intended just for our current clients at the moment. We have launched a brand new system for managing RFPs, which we will be introducing to the broader market, but for now, we're going to be introducing it just to our current clients for use for free until the end of this year. So the hope is that after this webinar, you'll have a better understanding of how it works and how it can help with your associations. And of course, we are hoping for as much feedback as we can get. So without further ado, let me hop over and I can show you guys what that looks like. All right. So first off, if you're already using any of our ticketing systems, the RFP system is built off the same interface, so it's going to look and feel very similar to what you're used to with any of the other ticketing systems. And as such, it will show up in your tickets drop down on your manager login under the request for proposal area. Some of the things that we've done, so we made a lot of enhancements with regard to vendors, since that's a big deal when it comes to RFPs. So what I'm going to start with is showing you how that plays into the existing vendor system, because if you're already using it, you might be familiar. If not, that is located in the settings drop-down menu on your top right corner under vendor management. And the way it works is it brings up a separate module, which you can then add your vendor information into. As you can see here, when you're adding a vendor, you can also set up insurance expiration reminders to go out to them automatically. It'll also be double sent to the managers as well. And those do go out 2 months, 2 weeks, 2 days prior to expiration, as well as 2 days after it has expired automatically to both your vendors and the managers. You can also set categories for your vendors for easy filtering and searching as well. Now, some of the enhancements we've made here to accommodate the RFP system is we have introduced a way to add multiple contacts that can be assigned from the ticket level. So previously, when assigning a, say, work order to a vendor, it would just send a PDF email with, image included in the email, in the actual file itself, and it can only go to one person that was for that vendor. So now you can have multiple contacts that you can then assign that RFP to if you have multiple people at a vendor that you're working with. Now, once I go into the RFP area in the ticketing system, it's going to look very similar, like I said, to what you're used to if you're using any of our ticketing systems. So the idea is that you have your dashboard. From here, I can filter to see all communities or just a particular one that I'm in. I can also filter by any of these parameters. So status, state, category. We do have a due date field in here, so you can sort by due date, as well as tickets that are assigned to a particular vendor, as well as to a particular contact at that vendor as well. So if you wanted to pull up just RFPs that are assigned to a particular vendor, or to a particular manager, or even to the board, you can do that from this dashboard. Same idea with the reports. You can pull any style report that you need to based on the search parameters that you've designated here. Now, as far as creating an RFP, looks very similar to most of the other ticketing system, right? So subject, description, due date if applicable. Categories and subcategories are still customizable by you. And let's just say that this is a roofing project that I'm going to be submitting. And one of the big things that with this, the idea is that it's a way to keep the board up to date, right? So a lot of times if the board, doesn't see it, they kind of think you're not doing anything. So this is a way to keep the board, up to date on what you're doing with regard to those RFPs. When you're creating the ticket, you can notify them separately via email. You can also send notifications each time the ticket's been updated moving forward as well. You can give the permission level to the board. So if you want to make it just for view only, open it up for them to make comments or even to make edits to the ticket, you can. And you can also separately notify managers as well via email as you're opening it. Now, if this was going out to the vendor initially for bid, it's super easy. In this case, it's a roofing project, and we have set several vendors to have the category of roofing. If I just start typing in roofing, it'll immediately show me just the vendors that have that category designated to them. And then we can select the vendor. And as I showed, you can select the contact as well. Now, another area that we've made enhancements with regard to the ticketing to accommodate the RFPs is with regard to the attachments of them. So previously, if you attach something to, say, a work order that was being assigned to a vendor, it was just an image file that would just show up in the actual PDF itself. It wasn't a separate attachment. So now you can do that as a separate attachment. So let me just pop in a document here. And then down here, you have the option to add it as a separate attachment of that email. Another thing that we've done is we've made it much easier for creating multiple tickets, especially if you're doing something like this where you might have 3 bids going out to 3 different vendors that are all the same parameters and same details and attachments, but just going to different assignees. So what we've done is we created a little pop-up menu here where you can either save and duplicate the ticket, which basically just duplicates everything except for the assignment. Or you can save and create a brand new ticket immediately as opposed to having to go back in and open up the ticket from the dashboard menu. So this, the idea is to give better visibility to the board, a way for them to see what's going on with those RFPs, and then also to increase that communication between the vendor and the managers. Now, the other thing that we've done and introduced is we've created a place to store all interactions between vendors and managers or with board members and managers. Pretty much anytime that there's any responses to emails that you want tracked, we have a separate place now where you can see all of those replies. Now, specifically with the RFPs, we've made it so that those replies, those conversations are tracked both here as well as at the ticket itself. So to demonstrate that here, I'll open up one of these conversations related to a ticket. And so here you can see the back and forth conversation that was had. And then here's where I can jump back over to the ticket that this is related to, where we will show you the exact same conversation in the ticket itself. Let's give it a second to open up here. And then down below here, there's a new box for conversations. And then here it is, right within the ticket itself. So it really gives you a full breakdown and audit trail of that conversation. Now, the other thing we did is we made it so that those attachments, if there's, say, attachments going back and forth from the vendor to the manager, that those will also be tied into the ticket as well as in the message inbox area. And I believe, let me just show you a quick example of that. This one has an attachment in here. So you can see it shows up right there. There's the actual attachment as part of the conversation back and forth logged in the ticket level itself. So really, it's a better way to secure and track documents for RFPs. Otherwise, these might be stored in emails that are, can get lost, or through services like Dropbox, where you have to, pay a separate service to have them stored there. This makes it so it's all in one convenient location. And if you're already a client of ours, of course, you have access to this, and it's all under your same database. So you don't have to worry about having it in a separate place. And that is about it. I'm going to keep things open here for Q&A, for questions. There is a Q&A section there, so if you want to drop in some questions. The other thing we were hoping for, we do have, if you haven't noticed, in the RFP area, a link to a form here. We would love your feedback on this system. We are offering it for free to our entire client base for the remainder of this year. Happy to do, more in-depth one-on-one trainings if there's interest further. So with that said, let me check some questions here. So one of the questions is, can vendors be imported from VMS? I don't believe specifically to be able to do it from VMS. We do have a vendor import capability with like a spreadsheet. So if there's a way to convert what you have in VMS to an Excel style or CSV file format, then yes, we do have that capability at an additional fee, which I don't know off the top of my head, but definitely reach out to support about that, and they can provide more information on the fees and how that might work. Okay, another question. Can I see all the RFPs that I sent to a single vendor? Okay, so yes, and actually that comes back to the filtering. So we set this up with the same structure as that of all the other ticketing systems to make it easy. So yes, if I wanted to say see all the tickets that were assigned to a particular vendor for this community, or even for just my entire portfolio, I would just go and filter in the vendor, and then it'll show me all the tickets that are assigned to that particular vendor. Good question. Can board members approve the RFP before it goes out to a vendor? So yes, this would be, so if it's something that needs to be approved by the board before it gets actually submitted to the vendor, you would just go into the ticket before, or as you're creating it, you can do this, or you can do it after it's created. But basically you just come in and you would assign it to the board, and then the board can assign it to each, board member if there needs to be multiple approvals on that same ticket. All right. Okay, looks like that's all the questions that were in there. As I mentioned, we're definitely hoping for feedback, so we do appreciate if you're using it, that you feel free to submit this form here. That's right in the request for proposal area. That would be tremendous. And if you do have more interest in learning more and wanting to get more in depth with it, we would be happy to do a one-on-one training for you as well. Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for showing up, and we hope that you guys enjoy the system, and we're looking forward to your feedback. Thanks, and have a great rest of your day.